Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another one. I wanted to share quickly a recap of today, what I'm working on, what I have been working on in the past, and what I finished already in this one last month that we have left of harvest. So I'm right here with my main and my alt, and I will explain why I have been farming with 2 accounts as of lately in just a moment, after going through some of the crafts that I've been working on, that I've made in the past 2 weeks-ish. Let's move over to to Duck over here, and the first thing that I think was most obvious thing that I was gonna make was the quiver, and I ended up finishing it like this. I had no way to gain frenzy charges, so I decided that it would be a good craft to put on. It's ended up being way better than crit multiplier, despite crit multiplier having half of the multi applied to chaos damage over time multiplier through perfect agony. Another item, I guess I can talk a little bit about how I crafted this. As you guys may have seen, I fossil crafted it, and the reason to that is because it is extremely cheap, and other than costing time, it doesn't really cost any money. Resonators I get myself, so they're free. The fossils I bought once upon a time for like 400 to 1x, so some of you have asked me already, like, why don't you just craft it in harvest? And that is honestly the reason to it. It takes me half an hour. With harvest it takes longer, and it's free, so yeah. Anyway, after I finished it after the video, I put on a last suffix, and I reforged it to keep suffixes until I hit area of effect, which doesn't have a tag. So after that, I augmented speed, and unfortunately I had to do that 3 times before I got tier 1 movement speed. I've seen quivers like this that have max chaos res or essence poison damage, and other than the essence poison damage, I think that one is pretty good. I prefer the AoE. I don't think the max res is ever going to be that great, to be completely fair. I don't find it that useful. Anyway, finish it off with a life craft. Simple remove add life process. And I think I hit this about 5 days ago from the making of this video. So yeah, that's that. Another item that I haven't triple whited yet, but is the golden wreath. This is currently, I hate to be like the guy that's gonna be like the #1 poison blade vortex helm, because that depends what you prefer, but to me, in my eyes, this is the best poison blade vortex helm that I could think of making. I could go for unleash spell seal, but as you guys may have seen, I am very oriented around Val skills, and this seal is simply useless if you're using Val skills. So I decided to finish up with a defensive mod instead, which is the physical taken is cold. Crafting process here was quite simple and straightforward. If you look at it, you might already see it. I started off with a hollow fossil and an aberrant fossil, and I spammed that until I got -9 to chaos resistance to nearby enemies. And then I am not sure if I non-influenced to influence it, or maybe I reforged kept suffixes. Either way, I made sure to get an additional influence mod so that I could elevate this. As far as the prefixes goes, I tried different approaches. I found it extremely hard to get tier 1 physical damage to spells. Despite simply being a remove add physical away, it ended up taking way more than I ever wanted it to take. and I even think I bricked it 2 times on trying to elevate it until I got the base to the point where it had the abyssal socket -12 and the elevated physical. After that, it was a very straightforward crafting process. I basically already put on the duration of ailments while focused, and I put on, I think, life before the fizz taking a scald. I don't think that even mattered really, but here it is. This is how it ended up. Very happy with this helm. It's very strong. Yeah. So those are the 2 things on this build right now that I've finished, that are completely done. This helm in my inventory is completely irrelevant. It's just some stuff. I don't know why it's there. Anyway, moving over to my alt, Covet Shadow. He has some random second-hand poison gear on him, and the stuff in the inventory is more interesting. So, I don't know if you guys are aware of the trick that you can do to find harvest in your map. If not, then I'll show that right after I'll show what I'm working on, and it could be quite handy. So, first up, I'm working on the number 1, again, number 1 in my eyes, Poison Boot. I have a similar one right here that I'm working on, which is not actually BIS, because I could have elevated the faster poisons, but this is roughly what it's going to look like in the end, except it's going to have a life roll and tier 1 fire resistance. Personally, I need fire resistance, that's why I choose to put on fire resistance. I am not sure if we're going to be able to swap the resistance in a month from now or not. We need some more information on that. Hopefully we can. If not, then that's very unfortunate, because obviously it might not apply to influence crafts. Anyway, the mods that I'm going for here is elevated tailwind and elevated faster poisons and elevated desecrated ground, making me unaffected by poison. Now, if you've played a poison build before, you might understand how strong it is to be unaffected by poison. And having that coming from a boot prefix is a very big deal. To put it in perspective, if I were to make myself unaffected by poison through my boots, that means that I won't have to use my Watcher's Eye, which is, on this character, it is this one here. On my main, I have one that looks very similar. Either way, the mod that's important here is the fact that the mod that says unaffected by poison while affected by malevolence. Now, if I remove this mod from my Watcher's Eye and instead I move it to my boot, that means that I can get another malevolence mod on my Watcher's Eye, which is where this Watcher's Eye here comes in. This one here. Damaging ailments you inflict deal damage 15% faster while affected by malevolence, and 22% to damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence. Those are very strong mods. They both are very strong mods. Faster poison means you deal more damage. Let me rephrase. You deal faster damage, which is higher DPS, damage per second. However, because Assassin also gains increased duration for every poison he inflicts recently, this means that faster damage actually also means more damage. So this means that duration actually scales more damage as well. So if I suddenly got a mod somewhere that said plus 5 seconds to your poison, not only will that increase the damage that I deal on the target because they last longer, it will also shrink the damage that it's dealing over a shorter time, which means that I deal a lot more DPS. So that mod is very valuable. There are not a whole lot of sources for it, and generally when I say I'm a poison build, people will be like, Keg W, you have to wait for damage. And yes, that's true. I do. However, let me try to make that waiting time as short as possible by getting a lot of DPS instead. And by having it here, by having it elevated on the boots, this is my old boot, it doesn't have the elevation yet. or it will never have the elevation because I'm making an entirely new boot. But that means that because of that boot, I'm gaining 20% faster damage. So this is actually a 20% DPS upgrade because I'm getting 15% extra from my Watcher's Eye, and I'm turning the 10 into 15. That's going to be a very big deal. Now, as far as the elevated Tailwind, we all know how strong Tailwind really is. And for me, in a self-poisoned map, that's going to give me roughly 200% movement speed. Roughly. Kind of depends. Yeah, so that's the boot that I'm currently working on. This is a failed outcome. However, what happened here, these are very annoying to make because what I have to do is I have to get a imprint, which I have on my main here because he is the one who killed the beast. A two-tone boot of the elevated hunt. So that is a tailwind, elevated tailwind boot. The process of crafting this is as simple as augmenting chaos for a prefix, which is desecrated ground, and augmenting chaos for faster poisons. Let me open my Craft of Exo here real quick, so I can get a little bit more in depth on that one. A little bit laggy because I have two clients open here, but it should be good. So we got a strength and dex boot with we have hunter influence, and so I'm looking to hit the faster poisons. This one here, tier 1, 8 to 10%. And the elevated version is your poisons last longer, I think. Yeah, a little bit extra duration and faster. The duration is so small that it doesn't really matter. But, you know, it's something. That is one mod that I'm looking to hit. It's about 1 in 8, if I recall correctly, to hit that on the suffix. The desecrated ground is 1 in 2. There's +2 to socketed chaos gems, and there's unaffected by desecrated ground. Elevated version of this is unaffected by poison. So the way that my failed boot was made is that it had this mod, and it had the faster. However, it took away the faster and instead elevate the desecrate. So it went the other way around. And instead of saying like, okay, I'm gonna scour the boot down to nothing, I thought to myself like, this is still a really good boot to have. It is still very close to best in slot. It already had the movement speed, the 35 movement speed, so I figured, you know what? I will just finish it, and if I, for some reason, should not end up getting this boot, the better one, I always have this, which is only slightly worse. Like, the faster poison part of it is the tiniest part of it, because obviously the unaffected by poison gives me pseudo 15% more damage or more DPS, and this is only 5% more DPS. It's still a lot, but it's not the end of the world. So definitely a good second chance, and making this one, making the better one is very hard, because you're gonna have to. I have one checkpoint, which is the elevated tailwind, so that's already good. However, for me to put on these two takes me roughly 10 remove add chaoses, which is not too bad, but they're kind of hard to come by. So about 60x, and then I have to Maven Orbit for 1 in 60 or 1 in 6. And that's where the rough part comes in, because if we then calculate that every attempt on average takes me about about 10 remove add chaoses, which is about 60x plus a mastercraft for prefix gonna be changed, so about 62x plus a Maven's Orb, which is currently about 45x. That's 107x every time for an average of 1 in 6. Now that puts the cost up quite a lot. So once I finish this boot, it's definitely going to be a mirror to your boot. The question is obviously just, are people playing Poison BV? And if they're playing Poison BV, will they even bother to mirror it? Now, personally, I don't really care too much about that, because I just want cool gear for my character. And if someone mirrors it, obviously it's a bonus. If not, then so be it. I realize there's an empty socket here. Anyway, that's that for the boot. That's my biggest craft right now that I'm trying to work on. That's what I'm pretty much spending all my time on stream doing as well. Moving on, there is the Miracle Shelter, which is the helm for my low life miner. And this one, there's not so much to be talked about. It has a legacy additional mine throne, mana regen for Berserk, and I'm crossing my fingers that they will not nerf Berserk, but obviously Berserk is in a situation where there's a decent chance that it might get hit. But yeah. The way I'm crafting this right now is I'm crafting suffixes cannot be changed, and then I'm using the Chaos reroll with defenses from Harvest. It's a very common craft, and I'm just spamming it until it hits 2 tier 1 ES mods. And then I'm looking to get, ideally I would want tier 1%, tier 1 flat, and then I want to augment life and get the life ES hybrid, which is another 25 flat, which is quite good. And it should put this helm at about 360 or 370 energy shields. Quite frankly, I've not checked how much it really is, but somewhere about there. Now, as for this, these are the jewels for my miner that I'm just divining. This one needs Fire Divine. I've also been working on the implicits for these. I'm looking to get full stun immunity through jewels. I have ailment immunity, full ailment immunity, and I want to have full stun immunity too. So this one lacks the implicit. This one is actually done. Yeah, I didn't actually realize, but that one is done. This one is almost done. It needs randomized fire for the fire crit multi. Could be 18%. It's currently 15. As far as this jewel, I think it's done as far as divining. Yep. It just needs to get the implicit. I want to wait a little bit with showing these. They're pretty interesting. This is going to be my new Watcher's Eye for my main, for Duck. I'm looking to hit freeze avoidance on that because now that I have a physical taken as cold helm, it's quite the big deal that I become full freeze immune, because it would be kind of cringy to die to getting frozen because of my helm. So yeah, once I have freeze avoidance on this one, I think I'm at 100%. I'm in a good margin. I can get even 110%, but obviously that's no need. This here is the jewel for my miner, which again, I'm looking to become stun immune, so I'm aiming for stun immunity or 10% stun avoidance on this as well. Same goes for these. This one I'm still working on. Once this one hits stun immune or stun avoidance, it will be 100% done. The chaos res is ideal. The dexterity is ideal. I need that. This one needs a remove add chaos for tier 1 chaos res. Once it has that, it's also done. This is actually a jewel that I hit today on a critical reforge, along with a non-crit to crit. Pretty interesting jewel. Currently, I need to randomize Colt for 18 crit multi, and then that one is done. Alright, now let's go back to the Abyss jewels. They're pretty interesting. I'm getting a huge deja vu right now. Not sure why. And this is it. I somehow, I don't know how, managed to find 3 bases. Mind you, 3 bases that are all item level 83 or higher. This one's 84, that one's 83, and this one 83. With legacy life and a tier 1 flaring physical damage to spells while wielding a two-handed weapon. And I bought them for 3, 5, and 15 exalts. They're obviously super easy to finish. I can currently just remove add chaos for this, and it will basically be it won't be quite the best, because it would be the best outcome would be if it had physical to spells as a suffix. However, that is very hard to do because it's a low weighting and I cannot remove add physical or remove at caster because the prefix is also physical and caster. So I decided to go for chaos damage. It is about 30% worse because of Unholy Might that I get here, which gives 30% physical chaos. So in other words, I don't scale chaos as well as I scale physical. So regardless, getting tier 1 on that is going to be a very juicy, and that's what I'll be socketing in probably in this helm and in the helm on my my main, who is currently using he's currently using a really good jewel, but it's for dual wielding. So this one is pretty much crafted the exact same way. It has tier 1 chaos. It doesn't have legacy life, but it's basically the same, except it's for dual wielding, and I don't dual wield anymore because of this bow. The bow I'm gonna keep as is. It has one tier 2 modifier, however, it's 10% poison damage. I'm not gonna care about that. I'm glad enough I managed to annul the multi-mod. Right, so with that, I'm actually going to show you guys the trick that I did not come up with. I think there's even a Reddit post about this, how this works. It's very simple, and the only thing that you require is that you never spoke to Oshabi before in your on your account. So that's why I'm running with my alt account and not with my main account, who is pretty much just AFKing here in my hideout permanently. I might have to cut here a little bit because it could, you know how the dry streaks work for this, it could take a long time. What we're looking for is a message over here that says enter, or yeah, something like enter the sacred grove. And basically, if you've never been, the reason why this works like this is because this account still has the quest ready. So it hasn't actually spoken to Oshabi before. And you want to keep it like that. You never want to speak to Oshabi. And I'll show you some tips and tricks on how you can avoid talking to her. Because you will soon realize that she is standing awfully close to the Horticraft station. And some of the people that I'm playing with, they have already screwed up their account. So if you happen to misclick on her, then you pretty much have to make a new account, and you have to do it all over again. You have to get your couple of passes in here. I personally didn't go for this small passive here. I might do it in the future, but I didn't bother. And I only have Secrets of Stones, and then I have the Watchstones for my main. Which, I guess I can show my Watchstones. They're not that insane. It's a 4% extra crafting option. Kind of rare, but definitely worth it. 4% there. I have a 15% increased chance for tier 4. And since I have this, I should probably also get this, because that's basically this stone, but like 7 times stronger. Or 7? Yeah. 7 times stronger? I'm not sure. Anyway, I think I might swap the other one also to Bountifuls to get the 4% chance to get an additional outcome. Just because it's probably the best thing to do. The reason why I didn't do it is because it's obviously a lot of alterations to craft, and when the patch just came out, I didn't really feel like dealing with that. I'm getting quite unlucky here. But you win some and you lose some, so I'm not gonna hate. Sometimes you get them back to back, sometimes you have to go on quite a dry streak. Also, I prepared this tab. You guys can copy this if you want. This is pretty much what you need for... and on top of that, I also have some rings here. But this is pretty much what you need if you want to do harvest and you want to profit of some of the smaller things. So like scenting items, putting implicits on your stuff. Obviously, you don't have to go with Hypnotic. You can go with like any that you find worth it. I personally am a spellcaster mainly, so I use Hypnotic. essences for changing essence stacks, Lex Proxima maps for my do not consume sextants, which I mentioned in a previous video on why I do that. These, because of the crit multi stuff, Crimson Jewels happen to have the most chance of rolling crit multi. So yeah, that's pretty much what I use. I got some scarabs in there to upgrade to winged, and I have some winged scarabs in there already from the Lex Proxima stuff. So if you don't know what I'm talking about at all, check out the previous video and you'll know. But I took some of my bad winged scarabs that are right here, and I'm going to be swapping those around also through harvest. So that tab is kind of like my convenient tab that I just open whenever I have something to swap around. So it looks like I'm getting awfully unlucky here. I'll ramble. Let's see. Is this one gonna be it? Nope. Unlucky. Anyway, so how's the weather? Let me know how the weather is. Sorry, I had to take some water. It's a pretty clear notification that you get when it does pop up. So just a large box in the center, bottom center screen. Hopefully I can get within these maps. This also makes it kind of irrelevant as far as running good layouts. It doesn't really matter anymore because you're going to be running so few maps, because you can already decide whether you're actually going to run the map or not up on the entry of the map. It doesn't really matter whether you run a fast map or not. If you're going to be doing this with atolls, you're probably going to waste money. I mean, I'm doing it, but I may be a bad example. Would be nice. Oh, there we go. So here you see it. Enter the Sacred Grove, like right there. It's huge. That means that this map spawned with a Sacred Grove. And this is then one of those few maps that you have to run. And as you can see, this layout is not fantastic at all. It could be a potentially very long map if it's all the way at the end. However, because I only have to run one of these every so often, it doesn't really matter too much. I will probably, if I get some defense craft here. Oh, looks like it. Defense, chaos, and attack. We'll go for that one. I'll show you how I'm crafting my helm roughly. We'll just do this patch and show you what I'm doing. So the non-defense, the defense is very good. These are very good for me. So let me just show you what I'm doing for my helm. Basically, I store those crafts that say Reforge. I'll look into more in depth in Hideout here. I craft suffixes cannot be changed. Put that on, and then here you have Reforge a rare item with new random modifiers, including a defense modifier. Defense modifiers are more common. If I do that and that, it is kind of close to meta crafting. However, you can 100% chance. It's 100% chance that there will be a defensive modifier included. So this is meta crafting, but a little bit cheaper and a little bit better. Very simple process. So there we got a very shitty flat roll. And the important thing is to put it back on the suffix is going to be changed, because in my case I don't want to lose that. And here we have a tier 1 energy shield roll. Now, what I can do in this case is I can actually do a suffixes cannot be changed, and instead of augmenting defense, I will now go ahead and... First off, something has to be said. Crusader has a defensive suffix. That is why I have to put on suffix gonna be changed. For most influences, there are no suffixes as that have defense tag. This is something you have to check yourself in Craft of Exile. In my case, Crusader does have one, so I need to make sure that I put on suffixes cannot be changed. If it wasn't the case, I could have put on anything and it would have worked. Putting on the non-defense to defense, and we're hitting a hybrid mod here. Tier 3 hybrid, not that great. Anyway, again, we're putting on the suffix, gonna be changed again, and this time we're trying to save it. Oh, took the mod. We're gonna try to save it, and unfortunately it died. However, because it didn't take the suffix gonna be changed, it's ready to be reforged again. So just like that, you can reforge it again. Simple as that. Now, before I go back into the harvest, I already know that I have another one of those reforges ready. So before I go in, I'll put on another suffix that's going to be changed so that I don't waste portals, because if you're going to have a lot of defensive crafts, you're going to get a lot of defensive reforges. So we're just going to reforge it while we're in here. Boom. That's absolutely horrible. I will remember that I have these here. Now I'm just going to move on, because sometimes you don't really want to bench it. 6 chaos, that's something I'm looking for, so let's do that. And that gives me absolutely nothing. Gives me a remove at crit, very nice. So this is another craft that's very useful to have. So this is the one that I put on my Crimson Jewels. So I just take a random ass Crimson Jewel and apply that. So now we got two-handed melee weapon, melee crit, and lightning. I don't think that has any good use. Here we have generic crit multiplier and crit multi with lightning skills. Now the mods that you would ideally want is crit multiplier and critical damage multiplier while dual wielding. Those are the harder ones to get. I mean, not with dual wielding, but the crit multi with elemental skills. I'm not sure if I can try to hit it here, but if you hit that combo, that's very good, because from that point you can deterministically craft it up. Let me use these as well. From that point on, you can deterministically craft it upwards to a very good crit multi-jewel. There's reforges in a certain way. Those could be good to have, because there is a chance that when I add reforges to my helm, that it fills up all the suffix or all the prefixes, which means that I cannot use this anymore, or I cannot use the thing anymore, because I cannot craft. Suffixes cannot be changed unless I have at least one open. Unless I have at least one open prefix. As far as that goes, that's good. I can try to get my fire resistance on this. 42, that's close. Okay. I'm not gonna bother to store more than I need of those. I could do this and try to hit some decent stuff. I got rarity. Okay. Attack, lightning. These are both mediocre for me. They're not great. What do we have here? Chance for a scarab to become winged. So that's where I use these. There's a use for everything. This tab is, you can copy this just as it is. You can roughly imagine what was in here. Purist went up to here. I already used a couple of these, so... Oh, that's 2 exalted. At this point, I'm losing a lot more money than I'm making by the way I'm crafting. However, in my opinion, that is good. It means I'm doing something good. And I know that what I'm doing is beneficial for me in the future. So Again, suffix is gonna be changed. I'll go in here and then I'm done with the map. Also, let me show you what Oshabi looks like, because obviously I haven't spoken to her, so that's where she spawns. And the reason why I keep moving out, the reason why I keep making a portal to use my Horticraft station is because I am paranoid that I will accidentally click on Oshabi instead of clicking on the Horticraft station, because they're so close to each other. One click on Oshabi and you have to make a new account. So if you want to use this pop-up mechanic thing, then make sure to never click Oshabi. Alright, that's it for those. I will go and do the last few and then I'm gonna wrap it up. And yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. If you guys have any questions or any better ideas of how I could potentially craft these items, then please do let me know. I'm live on Twitch pretty much every day of the week from 11 up until 8 in the evening in Central European time, which is GMT +1, so that's like +1 from English time, is European time, Central European, CET. So yeah, link is in the description to my stream. Want to come check me out? I'll be doing this crafting. I'll have these projects to work on. Maybe I'll add a couple of projects. There's a lot of time left and I'm pretty confident that I will be able to finish these in time. So yeah, if you have any questions or you're crafting your items and you need some help with your items, feel free to either jump in on the stream or leave something down in the comments. Right, have a great, also this is going to be something that I'll probably do either weekly or 2 times a week. I think maybe every Monday. I mean, I'm starting this on Monday now, so I might as well keep it on Monday. And it's just like an update video somewhere in between. And yeah, that's where we stand right now. Thank you guys very much for watching or listening, because I assume that a lot of you are also playing the video game while listening. Anyway, have a great evening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later.